So I wanted to talk about films in general today. So I thought, let's make a top 10 movies list. There was one problem. I could only think of 8 movies. So today we're going to talk about the top 8 movies of all time. Just so you know, all the movies on this list were bought on Blu-ray off of Amazon. I've got links in the description below. If you're interested, please go out and check the description. Make sure you read the disclaimer before you click on those links. I must have been 13 when Winter Soldier was released in cinemas. There's not many films that I walk out of blown away. I enjoy a lot of films when I go and see them at the cinema, but to be blown away by what I've seen happens not very often, every few years or so. But I remember walking out of the cinema, still now, what are we, nearly 10 years on? About 8 years on, and just being mind blown by the whole film, everything the Russo brothers had done. And from this point on, Captain America became my favourite superhero, all because of this film. This well-executed spy thriller from the Russo brothers had me on the edge of my seat. And I think at this point, we hadn't seen a Marvel movie like this before. Everybody loves Winter Soldier. A lot of people hold it up to quite high regard as one of the best Marvel movies. And it certainly is mine. And obviously one of my favourite movies of all time, which is why it's number 8 on this list.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Now, Tom Hardy gives an incredible performance as both Ronnie and Reggie Kray. But the thing I like about this film the most is it does an incredible job of not glamorising the violent and inhuman acts that the Krays got up to during their rule of London. The film does this by focusing on Reggie's and Francis's relationship. During the film, there's a lot of scenes shared between both Ronnie and Reggie Kray. Obviously, Tom Hardy plays both. So, in the scenes where the face of the other brother wasn't seen, Tom Hardy's stunt double stood in as the other brother. But Tom Hardy's performance, playing against himself, I sometimes forget that I'm watching one actor. Obviously they look similar, or the same, because it is the same actor. And the film does a very good job at showing 2 different sides of the Krays. At the beginning of the film, you get a very charming and charismatic side to the Kray twins. However, when this turns to the more violent and true nature of the Krays, it just makes it that more powerful. Now again, that's credit to Tom Hardy's acting. As I've mentioned before, Guy Ritchie is one of my favourite directors. You can check out that video on my channel, Man from Uncle. Now, all of his films are packed with a very British sense of humour. This film is no different. This film's dealing with gang warfare, drugs, all of that stuff. But it's all packed in a very interconnected and clever way. Every single character, every single gang they're a part of, plays its part to unravel this story and moves everyone in the exact place where they need to be for the final act at the end. It's very, very cleverly done, and you can see the pieces moving throughout the entire thing, but seeing it first time, you've got no idea where it's all leading to. Colin Farrell and Charlie Hunnam's characters are 2 standouts for me. Obviously their characters are very experienced in what they do and have been doing for a long time, which has made them desensitised to some of the bizarre going-ons of their business, enterprise, whatever they're doing. But that creates a very dry underplayed performance that is just very amusing to watch. Now, it's not underplayed in a way where it's boring. It's very effective in the way it's underplayed. And you see that a lot of that in a lot of Guy Ritchie's films. Everything is just underplayed slightly. So it's something ridiculous, so bizarre going on. And yet everyone is just acting like it's normal. A movie told through its soundtrack sounds obvious when you think or talk about it. But to my knowledge, Baby Driver is a one-of-a-kind movie that uses its soundtrack more than any other film that I've ever seen. The main character, the protagonist, Baby, acts as a gateway for the audience to peer into this world of crime. Of course, his character constantly listens to music when driving, and as an audience member, we are put into a situation where obviously these soundtracks have been chosen specifically to tell the story and couldn't be taken out of the scene, because those scenes are made around the soundtracks, around those songs. Now, we are there with Baby throughout this whole film because of his link to music and our link to the soundtrack of this film. We're there for the same reason. There are some great action and car chase scenes throughout this film. Some of them are quite reminiscent to old films, which Edgar Wright obviously has used to influence this movie. Of course, the soundtrack plays a massive part in each of these sequences. The way it's edited and cut to the position of the characters, how they move, it's all in time, all in the beat. And this is all obviously how Baby has interpreted the world around it. And this is how we can see the world. Following on from Baby Driver, another Edgar Wright film, and its most recent from filming this video, is Last Night in Soho, which again is also set in London during the 1960s and also the present day. It's almost a commentary on being careful what you wish for. Our protagonist, Eloise, is obsessed with the 1960s, and she moves to London to fulfill a dream of becoming a fashion designer, which then happens. She then ends up experiencing the world of 1960s London in all its grim and grimy glory through the eyes of Sandy. The visual difference between present day London and 1960s London is very apparent. Most of the scenes shot in London during the 60s are shot at night, therefore there's a lot of artificial light. Present day London is mostly shot in daytime. As the film goes on, contrast between dark, grimy looking 60s London and the present day ordinary London sort of gets ever closer, and that's a very subtle indication of the movement of the story. Much like a good thriller, it sort of always subverts your expectation. If you like 1917 as much as I do, I've made a video on this film previously. Please go and check it out if you haven't already. 1917 is a film told in real time on this journey of two soldiers trying to complete a mission during the First World War. Obviously, this film wasn't all done in one shot, but it is implied to tell that progression through the character of Schofield by making this feel like one shot, if that makes any sense. The incredible landscapes, music, the whole 360-degree set, which it obviously had to be because of the way this film was shot. It feels more like a play in the sense that we see everything. We sort of feel like we have the ability to choose where we look in this film, which then just creates a very unique... I'm just going to use that word a lot, unique, because this film is just... everything it does just feels very unique. and new. Has it been done before? Maybe, but not on this scale. Again, I have already talked about the Mission Impossible series on a video I done rather a long time ago, about a year ago, whenever it was. Please go and check it out after this one. This is probably the most rewatched film on this list. I do watch it very regularly. One of the main draws is obviously Tom Cruise, complete madman. What stunt is he going to do next? Whilst recording this video, Mission Impossible Fallout is the most recent up-to-date Mission Impossible. The interesting thing will be when Dead Reckoning comes out next year, whenever it's supposed to be coming out, will that top this film? Being a franchise, Mission Impossible doesn't have to go through the trouble of reintroducing your main character, your protagonist, antagonist. It doesn't even have to worry about introducing secondary characters, because we get characters returned such as Ilsa Faust, but also Solomon Lane, the antagonist. But with new characters such as Walker, it injects this freshness. Henry Cavill is a very good actor in general, but he is really, really good joining Mission series. I'm sort of gutted that his character did get killed off at the end. This is one of the richest, complex, and just mind-blowingly brilliant films I've ever seen. So the whole concept of Inception, delving into people's dreams and using their dreamscape as a gateway to delve into other people's subconsciousness, it's just mad. The concept is one thing, but trying to execute this concept is just a whole nother level. The whole concept of dreams and going into people's dreams allows for very expressive storytelling. Their dreamscapes they are exploring are very realistic. And the only way they can obviously be woken up from these dream sequences is through a kick. The idea is addressed, especially from the main character Cobb and his relationship with his wife, which is all explored through this film. They struggle to come to terms with what is reality and what is dream. There's so much I could say about this film. I don't think I've heard one bad thing. Just one of those ones that will go on forever and will always be considered a great. So, these were my top 8 films of all time. My top 8 list. If I think of any more to make this list 10, well, it's too late. I've already made this video. Let's keep this conversation going in the comments. What are your favourite top 10, 8, 5? Maybe just generally, what are your favourite movies? If you enjoyed what you saw here today, feel free to subscribe for similar content. If there was a particular video or section of the video you liked, let me know by liking or commenting on the video. Your likes and comments could influence the next topic I talk about. Thanks for watching.